This is the ISG Digital Dish.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Digital Dish.
I'm Lois Coatney, and I lead the development of a new collaboration platform.
I'm Jeannie Cuff. I implement tools to help customers understand their digital environment.
And I'm Julie Fernandez. I work with clients trying to improve all aspects of their HR and people development.
We're a group of women who work for a global digital firm, ISG, and we've created a new podcast, Digital Dish, which explores what it means to be a woman in the digital world.
Our goal is to create a space for women's voices and experiences in digital.
Thanks, everybody, for joining this edition, the special podcast of the Digital Dish. Today, we're going to talk about work during COVID-19, which is affecting all of us in one way or another. So, Lois?
Well, let me jump in and maybe just introduce everybody on the phone. And you know, Julie and Jeannie and myself, we host this show on a regular basis, but we have a new guest with us, Katrin Podmore, who is our head of marketing for Northern Europe. And we're super excited for Katrin to be here. Also sitting in her own home office, like we all are. So we thought we could spend this time to investigate a little bit how it's been going working at home.
Great. Thanks, Lois. Thanks for joining us, Katrin. And really what's interesting is almost every conversation we have on planning with the podcast and the agendas, we end up having a conversation that I think, stop, let's have a podcast about it. So I think that's where this idea came from. So I'm going to start with my little digital rant about digital equipment during COVID. I counted up, I am using 7 different WebEx tools, and my equipment doesn't always work with every single thing. And it's not the fault of our equipment. It's actually something to do with the software. Like you got your WebEx, you got your BlueJeans, you got your Microsoft Teams, you got your Zoom. There were 7 of them. So that's my little rant. I just wanted to start with that. I wish everybody worked off the same platform. Okay, so that's my rant. If anybody wants to join in and complain about digital equipment or say something's great, knock yourself out.
Well, I would take your rant just one further, Jeannie. I mean, really, back-to-back calls is a part of many of our environments. And when one uses the headset connected to the laptop and the other one uses the headset that connects digitally, or you're calling for one and you're clicking a button for the next, it makes it doubly difficult to transition from one call to the next. And it really has not been that way when internal teams are working from the workplace. And so it's just never been this aggravated.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I find that everyone in my household, so there's 4 of us in our house, using Wi-Fi at the same time just takes the whole system down. We've got kids doing, school lessons or just downloading stuff for school, or probably not downloading stuff for school. Who knows what they're doing? And then my husband and I both working on Teams or BlueJeans or whatever the platform is that our calls are on. And quite often the whole thing just decides to stop working for us. So, yeah, challenging times.
Yeah, it is really frustrating. So I ended up getting a hotspot, an additional hotspot. So I sit here and I think, okay, every time I join a call, or especially client calls, I look at what my bandwidth is, and I kind of make a call. Do I go to my hotspot and use that as a backup, or do I stay on my internet at home? You're right. There's this extra flavor of how do you make sure that your sound quality, that you're not rustling your papers, all of the ambiance around you is not going to be distracting, and it's going to be as effective as a conversation as you can make it.
So let's go right into our routines. We had a hilarious conversation about this the other day. Lois, I think you are very clean.
Clean?
You said you shower like a couple of times a day.
Yeah, well, and I did again this morning. I got up at 4:30 this morning because I had a big day. And, I think it's just what do we need to do to kind of get ourselves in the right frame of mind? My husband was complaining that our water bill is going to suffer during this COVID thing. But I just, it's, and I work at home a lot. Actually, I've been doing it for over 10 years. But for some reason, during this period, I needed this kind of pick me up in the morning just to kind of get me in this state of mind of ready to go. I looked at my closet and realized there was a whole set of clothes I stopped wearing. Why would I do that? So I just, kind of went through the whole routine in the morning, put on something, that I would wear to work and just, be at work while I'm sitting at my desk. I don't know. It was important to keep me going.
That's cool. I can barely drag myself into the shower. I'm like, I'm respectable from the waist up, but beyond that.
Yeah. I'm impressed that you're still wearing work clothes, Lois. I think I've got 2 outfits and they just alternate at the moment just because I can't be bothered to actually look any further than the 2 that are already out.
I realized how sad my regular routine has been having kids. I've always started really early, and then the idea was you shower. You have to choose between a shower or lunch at a certain point in time. And depending on what you choose, then it was my mission to shower before the kids got off the bus and came in the door so that they actually thought I got dressed every day for work. And I have found sometimes I still start out in comfy clothes, but I keep that shirt like right off to the left that I can toss on real quick. That looks a little bit more professional just in case I have to be on a webcam. It's so sad.
It's also about the camera and the web camera and what you're seeing. And like, I'm glad I have this standing desk now and I've got the light right and I've got the thing so I don't like have a double chin. I'm really...
Well, I don't know if you ladies notice because we're all on video, but do you notice that my background has changed? What's behind me has changed this weekend.
Yeah.
So each weekend I've been doing a little bit more in my office because I don't know if I'd say embarrassed, but I always felt like, holy cow, I hope there's not a mess behind me. So then I decided to redo my office and I literally went through the thought process. Now, what should I have behind me? Should it all be professional, awards and work stuff behind you? And then I ended up choosing, I don't know if you see behind me, like my kids' paintings. I decided, I have 2 children. And so I kind of have a mixture of what my kids did. I have a mixture of some of my awards. I have a mixture of some things that I picked up on my travels, especially work travels. And, you kind of have this thought of, you see a little bit of glimpse of what your colleagues and your clients, what their work environment is like. And I kind of thought, well, it's okay. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, and, it's okay to have a mixture of all those things behind me and share while we're working.
Lois, you could turn it into a game. You could kind of change your background and then see if anyone notices what's moved. A little bit like, I don't think your kids are the right age, and maybe it's a British thing, but right now we have this amazing guy called Joe Wicks who's doing PE for children at 9 a.m. on his live YouTube channel every day. And I think the entire nation of 5 to 15-year-olds are logging on every day to see Joe. But the great thing he does is he's doing it in his front room. He's a professional trainer, but he changes his backdrop every day and then asks people to message in on his YouTube channel and say what 3 things he's changed. It might be a photograph or something different on a shelf. It's brilliant. The kids love it, trying to spot the difference.
Well, talking about that, I think this is interesting because you're talking about our homes now. What has it changed about your work relationships? Like, I start every call with everybody, whether it's a client or internal group, saying, how are you feeling? Are you doing okay? But Lois, you were talking about the different things you found out about other people.
I think we kind of have a bit of a glimpse of our home life and, who you're living with, right? I mean, we have, some colleagues who are in India with an extended family, multiple families living under one roof right now as they're a bit sheltering in place. And, you always get this kind of like apology in front of the call to say, oh, sorry if you hear like a bouncing ball or all of a sudden, your kid running behind you. But you know what? That's okay. I think I've seen cats walk in front of the camera, right? And it's just who we are today. And it's okay. I think we probably have a lot more tolerance than probably we used to have. And, that's a trend that I think, makes sense as we change just our home life and work life balance or integration.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very healthy, isn't it, to bring those two parts of our lives closer? I think there's one school of thought that says, it's good to separate them so you can enjoy your home life away from work. But actually, I think that bringing the two closer is very healthy because, it's actually not possible to switch off one world and turn on another, especially when you're in the middle of both worlds at the same time. So, yeah, a bit of tolerance is very healthy, I think.
We had a Friday team celebration call just at the end of last week to celebrate a goal and encouraged everybody to get onto video. And because of the nature of the call we were celebrating, folks did bring their kids into the video just to introduce their children, or, you might know your colleague's spouse after working with them for quite some time. So my husband, came into the room for a little bit. And of course, I had to out him right away. So he's been, I don't know if your fellas at home, it seems like when they're shut in, they have to do something odd with their hair, whether it's their hair or their facial hair or what it is. So my husband has been playing, he's just been having fun, and he's carved a mohawk all the way from the front of his head all the way down to the back of his head that my daughter trims up about every 3 days and shaves it out. So it's quite long now. It's gotten quite long, and he has these little it's curly. And so he put a hat on respectfully, the picture, and I outed him instantly. Took off the hat. I'm like, check out this mohawk.
Well, I think there's been more facial hair I've seen on our male colleagues than ever. And you
That's
kind of
hilarious.
almost wonder, back to what Katrin was saying, are we now actually kind of being a little bit more like ourselves, or have the opportunity to be a little bit more comfortable who we are? Yet, we're still obviously doing our jobs and we're still engaging with people just in a different way. And, I think it's okay.
Yeah, let's face it, ladies, we're only another 5 weeks away from knowing everyone's natural hair color. So,
Yep.
So I wanted to then talk before we go, because we do have an interview with Nicole Michelson, who talks about mindfulness, which I think is important at this point when some people are really stressed and some people are dealing with a lot of things emotionally and everything like that. But I do want to ask you guys one question. What are the 3 essentials? Now, the given is that electronics are the essentials. We're going to take them off the list. We know we need that. What are the other 3 essentials that you feel like you would absolutely need? I mean, I've decided salsa, cheese, and tortilla chips are the things I need to survive this. But what are your 3 essentials?
Now, I live in Minnesota, so this has become really important. It's just getting outside. Now, we even just a few days ago had another snowfall, a little bit of a storm. So that really makes it just to be able to, whether it's going out on your patio or just getting some fresh air. I had the window open yesterday, even though it was about 45 degrees out Fahrenheit. But it's just being able to, I don't know, go for a walk, just feel like you're still, there is an outdoors out there, and, engage with it now and again. It just seems to keep my mental acuity and just so the walls aren't closing in. That's one of the big things for me.
Yeah, and good weather. Living in Britain, we've had an amazingly good run of weather whilst we've been under lockdown, which I've been so grateful for. But, if the rain sets in like it can do here, then that would be pretty miserable. But I've also got a couple to add to that, which are very non-work related. But I don't think I could live without my crochet yarn right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've taught myself to crochet in the last 3 weeks, and I'm absolutely addicted. And the other thing is, and I don't want to brag about this, but I couldn't live without the piano, because the children have really embraced their piano practice during this time like they have never done before, and even had time to play for years. We're all playing the piano every day, and we've all got so much better, and we're playing it together. So that's been a really lovely thing about the lockdown.
Julie, what are your 3 essentials?
Yeah, so I'm not sure I'll count 3, but all of them have to do with the fact that I have to close my door these days, and that's my effort to keep dogs or adult teenagers or my Mohawk husband from walking around in the background. So I do find that, I've always worked at home, so it's, that is not the shocker, but having the door closed just in case the video cam has to go on cuts me off from more trips to the kitchen for ice water, right? Just simple things. And I get to the end of the day and I just realize I feel like I've been shut in here all day long just because that door is closed. And I'm far less inclined to come back into my office in evening hours. And I think it was much more fluid when I managed my work from home before, and I was in and out, and kind of freely about the house. And I was more inclined to come in the evenings than I am now. Now I just I want the door open and I want myself on the other side of that door,
Yeah.
So that's been the biggest, environmental change for me that I wasn't expecting really.
Yeah. We're talking to Nicole Michelson from Vision Pursue, and I think she gives some really great advice for how to deal with anxiety or how to think. It's general advice, but it's all about mindfulness. Hi, welcome everybody. I'm Jeannie Cuff from ISG. This is our podcast, The Digital Dish, where we explore what it means to be a woman in the digital world. Today I'm at ISG Future Workplace Summit for 2020, and I'm speaking to Nicole Michelson. Nicole is the Managing Director of Training at Vision Pursue here in the United States. So thank you, and thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, of course. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this.
No, it's fun. We're just getting started with our podcast, and so to me it's really exciting to interview women and talk to them about what's going on and how they see the whole environment changing. So,
and it's changing quickly.
It is, exactly. Yeah. So that's why I'm just saying that, and I'm leaving it be because I want to hear your thoughts. So the question we've been asking all the people I've been interviewing is, what are the skills that you expect that the workplace will need the most in the next 5 years?
Oh my goodness, I love that question.
But
oh my gosh,
because right up your alley.
It's right up my alley, and I've been really happy to hear today in the conference that we're at that there's so much conversation around mindset.
Yes.
Because I think that, give you a great example, you may have 5 professional athletes that all perform at their highest, peakest level, right? But what separates one from the other? It's not their skill set. It's not how many hours they train, because they're all training the same amount of hours. Mm-hmm. It's not how many games they play, but it's their mind.
Wow.
And so the same in a corporate setting, in what makes one person great than the other, it's the way that they think. And so I think I'm really excited that we talked so much about mindset today at this conference, and also with the companies that we work with, that they're starting to understand that this is a people issue.
Yes.
And that you can't address it necessarily as a team if you don't address the individual themselves and help give them the skills to have a very elite mindset where you can start to look at challenges and adversity as something that's an opportunity, the growth mindset, as Carol Dweck likes to talk about. It's my favorite book. And it's true, because people have to realize how to address things as what's the opportunity here, and leaders need to help give their employees the proper skills on how to do that.
So let's say we're talking to a young person who has just graduated college or is going to a college. What would you suggest that they follow in order to get that kind of agility of their mind, as it were?
Yeah. So we like to call it mental training.
Okay.
The same way that you exercise your body and you get bigger muscles, there's the same technique you can do to exercise your mind to create the proper neural pathways that help you really achieve and look at things. 2 things that a lot of people talk about, which is mindfulness and meditation. Those are definitely 2 incredible tools that really help people learn how to take back the focus of their mind. So our brain is designed to have 8 negative thoughts, what could go wrong, what will go wrong, to every 1 thought of what is right and what could. That's how we're designed.
Right.
And so when you can start to rewire and start to at least find some balance, right? Because it's important to think about what could go wrong so that you can prevent those things from happening or mitigate them. And it's important to think about, what could the plan for the future. Those things are important. However, when we're constantly living in the past or the future, and we're not living in the present because we are either afraid or have anxiety, then we're not really serving ourselves to the best of our ability. And so you asked me, what would you tell somebody coming out of college? I would say, go through our training, but but without saying that is really start to try to practice mindfulness and meditation and really start to train the brain to quiet down and take back its focus.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And and I don't want to give away your whole course plan, but so mindfulness and meditation, but what do you do in that mindfulness and meditation? You have to do certain things, right, to quiet down the negative and up the positive.
I'd say mindfulness is becoming more mainstream and people are learning more, and that's basically active meditation.
Right.
Mindfulness is meditation in motion, right? And that's something that I practice more than meditation. I do meditation, but 5 minutes a day.
Right.
But mindfulness is just being in touch in the present moment without judgment.
Right.
Right? And so that's something that you could start to practice when you wake up in the morning. Just take 2 seconds and recognize where you are in your bed. It's like there's so many different ways to practice mindfulness, but like feel the pillow on your head for just 1 second. It's we call it a mental rep.
Okay.
Right? Or when you're driving in your car, take a second and feel your hands on the steering wheel. That's a mental rep. It's taking back control of your focus so that you know where it's going intentionally. And imagine when you do that all day long, just for a second here and there and here and there. You start to rewire the way that your ability to gain your own focus, so that when you're in a corporate setting or you're interviewing for a job and you're stressing out and you're really nervous, the more you practice this is the more when you're in that situation where your automatic brain is telling you trigger, fight or flight, get nervous, you have all this anxiety.
Stop.
I'm saying you learn how to stop, and it's something that you do with practice over time. That over the past 2.5, 3 years that I've been practicing, it has completely changed my life and the way I live at home with my spouse and my kids, and the way that I work out in the real world, as they say.
Nicole, thank you so much. I usually I've been asking everybody, what are you passionate about? Clearly, you're passionate about this. Do you have anything else that you're thinking about that you're passionate about that's happening in the workplace now that you're interested in talking about? And you don't have to.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing a kind of a project of mine that I started last month, and I hope to really gain some traction and build out over the next few years, is building a community around people who really care about understanding how the brain works and taking control of it, so that we can start being in control of what we do versus being at the effect. And so my passion project is I started these lunch and learns that I do on a monthly basis, where I get expert speakers to come in and talk about something within the realm of the mind and of behavior and how to improve behavior.
Do you want to hire my daughter? She would love this.
Oh, yeah.
She's very empathic. This is her thing. She really loves it.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So my passion really is to create a tribe of people who really understand and care about creating a world where we're not afraid to talk about emotions, we're not afraid to talk about what we're feeling, and that we are committed to taking back control of the automatic brain and being more in control of it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Nicole, thank you so much for joining me. I know it's only a few minutes, but I appreciate it. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for your time.
I think I'm going to wrap it up now, but I want to do a shout out to all the essential workers. So thank you all for joining. This is the special podcast on the COVID-19. Thanks, everybody.